This is a tale from the land of Ukraine, the land of Kiev, and it is of the two princes. There were two princes who chose a life of adventure, and they began to wander the world together, accompanied by their dog. And at one point, the princes came to a crossroad, and there stood a maple tree. And the elder prince said, "This is where we will part ways. I will take the road to the left. You will take the road to the right. And we will seek out adventure. But first, let me leave this knife here." And he drew out a knife and he stuck it in the maple tree. He said, "This will be a sign. If blood is coming from the blade, it is because I am dying. And you, my brother, must seek me out and save me. If blood is coming from the handle, it is you who is perishing, and I will find you." And so they parted ways, and the elder prince traveled along with the dog. And in time, they climbed a mountain, and there was an apple tree, and under the apple tree, there was a fire that was already built. It was a bit chilly, and the prince got down to warm himself. And an old woman approached. "Come, grandmother, come warm yourself by the fire." "Uh, I will, but you first must tie up that dog. I fear that he might try to bite me." And the elder prince did so, and no sooner did he do so that the old woman turned him into stone, and the dog as well, for she was a pagan witch. In time, the younger brother returned to the crossroads, and he saw blood dripping from the blade of the knife that had been placed in the maple tree. And so he went in search of his elder brother. He went along the left road, and in time he came to a mountain, and he climbed the mountain, and there was a courtyard, and there was an old woman who asked, "What are you doing here?" "I am in search of my brother. My brother is dying. You know, please, can you help me?" "I cannot, but you see these other two mountains over there? Go towards them. Climb one of them, and on one of those two mountains, there will be two old men, and they'll be able to send you on your way." And so he did so. And he climbed the mountains, and the first mountain was the wrong one. Of course, he went to the second mountain, and he saw these two old men sitting. "What do you want? What are you doing here?" "I'm looking for my brother. My brother is dying. I have to find him." "I fear your brother is already dead." "No, but you can still save him." "How can I save my dead brother? Please tell me." "First, you must prove yourself. You must climb up this other mountain behind us that you've clearly not been to yet. If you can climb this and then come back, we will tell you." And he did so, climbed it as nimbly as a mountain goat. And he ended up coming back to the old men. And what they did is they said, "Your brother is dead, but here is some rope. Climb this other mountain. Climb the mountain, and you will find an apple tree. And beneath the apple tree will be a fire. And do not sit under the fire. Instead, you must call out and an old woman will appear. Do not trust this old woman. She is a witch, and you must bind her with this rope, and she will release your brother. But you also have to get her to release others she has trapped. A tsar, a tsarevna, a tsaritsa, others, and you must save them too. And the younger brother took the rope and thanked the old men, and he climbed the mountain. Well, when he climbed the mountain, he indeed did find an apple tree, and oddly enough, there was a fire burning, and he heard a voice. And it was an old woman's voice, and she cried out, "Please sit, warm yourself beside the fire." No, no, grandmother, you come out, you warm yourself beside the fire. And when she came out, the younger prince quickly bound her up with a rope and demanded that his brother be returned to him. And she, of course, refused. And as the old man had instructed, he beat her soundly, he threatened, he held her feet to the fire, and she shriveled. And in time, she released his brother, the Tsar, the Tsarevna, the Tsaritsa, and others who had been held captive in a nearby cave. And so it was that the young prince delivered those he had rescued, the Tsar and Tsarevna and Tsaritsa, who had been turned into stone by the witch, and his elder brother, to their town. And he continued on his journey. And in time he came to another town where all the windows were hung in black, and the people were in mourning. And he asked why it was so, and the people said, there is a dragon, a six-headed dragon, that lives in a cavern, and it has attacked our town many times, and the price that it asks is this princess, that she will be his dinner, and we must deliver her. This you cannot do. This would be an affront to God. And so the young prince went off in search of this cavern, because he would attend to the matter of the dragon. And in time he found the cave of the dragon and drew his great sword and prepared to enter it and slay this worm. But a carriage came up from the town, driven by a heyduke, and inside the carriage was the princess. She was to be given up to the dragon. And what ended up happening was the princess was willing to sacrifice herself, and the young prince bid her kneel with me, pray. And together they prayed, and in time there were noises from within the cavern. The dragon demanded, "Where is my dinner? Where is my meal?" And the young prince taunted the dragon and said, "Come and take your meal." And one by one, the six heads of the dragon emerged, and the prince took matters into his own hand with his great sword and chopped off each of the heads. And then he wanted proof that he could keep, and he severed the tongue within each of those heads, and he wrapped these in a cloth. And then he pleaded his case to the princess and said, "I wish to marry you, but I must continue my journey. Please, I pray you, if I have not returned within 1 year and 12 days, you're free to marry somebody else." And this she agreed to. And the prince went off, and the heyduke, the coachman, said unto the princess, "You will swear 12 times that I was the one who killed this dragon. You will swear it, or I will kill you." And the princess agreed. And the heyduke put the princess in the carriage and took her back to town. And he announced, "It was I who killed the dragon, me." And the townspeople rejoiced, and they went to the cavern, and they looked at the heads, and they saw there was no tongue in any of the heads. And they said, "How odd that the dragon doesn't have a tongue. We should reward this deed. The heyduke should marry this princess within the year and 12 days." And the princess, she agreed with the heyduke because she feared for her life. Well, the young prince had returned to where he had left his brother and Tsar and Tsarevna and Tsaritsa, and he saw that the Tsar had given the realm to his elder brother, and saw that the town was preparing for a great wedding. "What is this wedding you're preparing for?" "There's going to be a wedding. This heyduke, he killed a six-headed dragon, a dragon that had no tongues." "Did he?" And now the young prince returned as quickly as he could and entered the town of the princess and said, "I'm the one who killed the dragon. I killed the dragon, and I severed his tongues. I have them." Well, word now traveled to the heyduke, who was to wed the princess. Said, "Who is this who speaks such lies? Who says that dragons have tongues? Take this man, tie him between 4 horses onto the wild steppes, whip the horses, and let him be torn apart by the horses, and let the ravens pluck at his bones." But the young prince took the people from the village, and they went in search of the cavern. And there was the dragon's body, and there were the 6 heads. And now the young prince unwrapped a cloth, and he took out a tongue and placed it in the head of one of the dragons. And the dragon began to speak, and he did so with each of the 6 heads. And now there was this veritable chorus who were telling all assembled what had happened, how it had been this young prince who had killed him. So now the Tsar of this town asked the people, "What should we do? What should we do with this man?" "Well, this young prince clearly must wed your daughter. And of the heyduke, let him be tied between 4 horses on the wild steppes. Let the horses be whipped. Let his body be torn asunder, and let the ravens and the wolves feast upon what is left." And that ends this tale. It was at the feast I heard this tale, there it was I drank mead ale. Though it flowed down my beard, my mouth stayed dry, for never a drop passed my lips, swear I.